Colonel Clark, your boss, General Hershey, has recently announced that 100,000 more men will probably be needed in the draft in the next fiscal year. How will that affect us here in Indiana?
Well, John, that will increase our calls naturally. The calls are placed by the Department of Defense on the national headquarters of Selective Service. And in turn, that is passed down to the states. Now that is based on the number of men who are examined and available. And naturally in Indiana we always try to have our quota and have them have their pre-physical examinations and be in the pool. And when the call comes down, then we can issue the orders to the local boards, and they in turn issue the orders to the boys for their induction process.
Now, I noticed in the paper the other day it said 909 men, I believe, will go from Indiana in May. Does that mean actual men who will go or men who will be called for physicals?
No, that 909 means the actual men for induction. On physicals, we're examining around 4,000 to 5,000 men a month in order to get the pool available so we can meet any induction call. And naturally, there is a large rejection rate at the Armed Forces Induction Station. I understand lately it's been around 35%. So you can see there's a lot of men wash out and do not get into the pool.
Now, when we talk about 100,000 additional next year, how far ahead do they plan? Now, suppose the war ends, which we all hope between then, how will that 100,000 be cut back measurably, or will that still have to go through?
Oh no, that will be cut back very drastically, John, and it's done very quickly too. The Defense Department projects their requirements for 1 year in advance by the fiscal year. And in projecting what they're going to call on selective service for, they must also take into consideration what their recruiting success will be. If the draft goes down, the calls go down, recruiting goes down. If the draft goes up, recruiting goes up. So there's always one of those intangibles that you try to meet on an average base.
So if the war should end next month, we could, even a month after that, we could expect the draft to be cut back drastically. Is that true?
Well, John, when we say the war ends, let's hope it ends very soon. But it's been our experience that no war ends very suddenly. Although the war in Korea ended a number of years ago, remember, we are still keeping quite a few troops over there in order to assure that the peace is kept. And I imagine the same thing will happen in Vietnam. We'll keep a considerable number of troops. And of course, we'll then have to replace them every 2 years or every 3 years if they enlist and volunteer.